My name is Catherine Crowley. I am CFILC's Ability Tools Program Manager, and I'd like to welcome you to Ability Tools' newest installment in a series of webinars outlining the activities established by the AT Act. Today, we'll be providing an overview of the activity device loan. Last month, we discussed the activity reutilization because it was a natural potential step when thinking about how consumers become informed of the services available to them and begin to seek out services based on their individual needs. Using that trajectory of thought, we're continuing along with the experience of the consumer, which could bring them to many possible activities as a next step, one of which could be participating in a device loan activity. Our training objective for today will be to clarify the particulars of the activity device loan as it's defined by the AT Act. This is with the intention of facilitating more frequent and effective execution of device loan activities under the AT Act, and also facilitating more comprehensive and accurate reporting of device loan activities under the AT Act. A device loan is defined as state AT programs providing short-term loans of assistive technology devices to individuals, employers, public agencies, or others seeking to meet the needs of targeted individuals and entities. You might be asking yourself if this activity is a required activity for you to perform. Well, that depends. The state of California's Department of Rehabilitation and CFILC partner to contract out the execution of device loan activities to 12 device lending and demonstration centers throughout the state. So, if you're a staff member of one of these 12 device lending and demonstration centers who receive AT Act funding, then yes, device loan activities are required activities. Device loan activities exist within the state level category and are designed with the intention of facilitating a consumer's access to assistive technology. It's required by the federal government that state level activities take up about 60% of the AT Act funding received by the state, with the remaining 40% going to state leadership activities. So there is an expectation and built-in support for device loan activity implementation. Device loan is the activity where you're providing short-term loans of devices to members of the disability community. Community members reach out with a device need, and you respond to those needs. These needs can manifest in the form of loaning a device to assist in decision-making. A consumer might have determined what type of device could best assist regarding a challenge they're experiencing through a discussion or a device demonstration with you, or they could have researched independently or had prior experience, which provides a good idea of what type of device they need, but they still require that hands-on experience with specific devices to determine which of those devices will fit their permanent need. In this case, they can borrow a device on a short-term basis and be able to make an informed decision when they move forward to purchase their own device. Many times, we may loan a device as a stopgap measure when a consumer is waiting for a device repair. We may be doing a repair for them, or they might have their personal device with a vendor for repairs, but either way, there is an apparent need for the device, and they need a loaner while they wait the return of the repaired item. Similarly, there are situations where we may loan a device while the consumer is waiting for device funding. This could result from a new need, new awareness of an AT solution to an established need, or a replacement occurring for a broken or outdated device. Either way, your consumer could find themselves waiting on approval for funding from their insurance, Medi-Cal, a loan program, or even a private loan. The need for the device is still there, however, regardless of the need for these funding sources to cross all T's and dot all I's. This is where we can step in with a short-term loan to fill that need until their new device is in hand. A device could also be loaned for the purpose of a short-term accommodation, where the consumer is experiencing a need for a limited time. Perhaps they're in need of a lift assist chair until they recover from a surgery, to provide a magnifier at a conference registration table, or an individual needs to borrow a ramp while their family member stays with them for a few weeks. These are all valid needs that we can support. An additional situation, which might involve a device loan, is loaning a device for training or professional development. In these instances, staff could borrow a device to better familiarize themselves with the device. A student could reach out to have a hands-on learning experience with the devices being discussed in a class on assistive technology, or a staff member could check out devices to use to educate the public on what types of assistive technology is available to them when they interact with our centers. An activity commonly conflated with device loan is open-ended loans, a reutilization activity. This conflation is understandably confusing because it has loan right in the name. So you would think it was a loan activity. But because open-ended loans are a permanent form of acquisition rather than an access activity to let the consumer try it out, open-ended loans fall under reuse. The best way to determine which activity you're performing is to look at the loan length. You're performing a device loan activity if the device has a definite limited loan end date. This is versus an open-ended loan, where consumers are provided a device with unlimited loan length. This is not to say that a device loan becomes an open-ended loan when it surpasses the initially established length of the loan. A staff will sometimes extend loans to accommodate the needs of the consumer. But even in these instances, there is an agreed-upon return date, and the device is expected back at that time. An open-ended loan does not establish such an end date. Also, staff who provide device loans, they fully expect and depend on a return of their loan device, which is in stark contrast to staff providing open-ended loans who do not typically expect a return of the item, simply advising that the device can come back if the consumer finds they no longer need the device, in order to get that device back out to another consumer on another open-ended loan. And finally, centers who provide device loans need to keep a tight inventory of their devices in order to record all of the activities associated with them and to help safeguard against loss of devices. This contrasts with centers who provide open-ended loans, where it's not necessary to inventory devices, as you're able to add a device into a reutilization activity at the activity page without needing to pull from an established inventory. DOR has determined that the AT Act and AT advocates will be supported under the same roof as ILCs, which is very unique, as California is the only state which does this. California AT advocates and the Hub, Ability Tools, perform state leadership activities, and Ability Tools, as the Hub, performs and contracts out the performance of state-level activities, like device loans, out to California's device lending and demonstration centers. As we continue further into the series, we'll discuss more of the state-level activities. One of our requirements as the Hub is to collect, organize, and report all state leadership and level activity to the federal government. In order for us to count all of the hard work that gets done, it needs to be individually reported by the centers performing those activities. National Assistive Technology Act Data Systems, or NATADS, is the web-based aggregate data reporting system used by state AT programs to submit the required data elements of the APR as mandated by the AT Act. NATAD's primary purpose is to serve as the official APR data collection mechanism. However, NATADS also has a web-based day-to-day data collection system that can optionally be used by state AT programs for collecting and managing data reporting for all activities included in the state plan for AT and required by the annual progress report. As a result of this day-to-day reporting option being available as a central reporting system capable of ensuring the validation of all of California's data, California's Assistive Technology Advisory Council and the Department of Rehabilitation made the decision that California would utilize NATADS for collecting the data relevant to our state's AT Act activities. Upon your reminder email this morning, you should have received 2 documents titled NATADS Activity Guide Main Inventory Entry and NATADS Activity Guide Device Loan Activity Entry. I'm now going to do a live walkthrough of the steps you'll go through to enter your device loan activities. Now, I could do a walkthrough of maintaining your main inventory, but we actually have a recording of that available in our training library. We did an inventory maintenance webinar for entering Chromebooks and Yetis, and all of the information that is specific to those items, but general in how you enter the actual items into the library, into your inventory. So you can go ahead and visit that at any time if you have any questions about entering and maintaining items into your inventory. For now, let's move on to specifically device loan activities. So you're going to begin by entering the NATADS website using your work email and your unique password. You're going to select Day-to-Day New. And from the NATADS Day-to-Day application page, you're going to scroll down to the state level functions and select the Device Loan button. From here, you can look at device loan activities. You can add device loan activities. You can see your request queue to see if there are any requests in from consumers who are using the website to put in requests for items. But if you're really wanting to add an activity, it's always best to start with the consumer. That way, if you start adding an activity and the consumer isn't in the system, you don't have to redo all of the work that you just started. You'd have to go all the way back, create a client profile, and then start from scratch, and that's no fun. So let's start from our client. We're going to view clients. And under the search parameters, you can search from the last name, first name, full name, or any other host of information that you might have available for you to be able to add an activity to this person. Let's go ahead and start with the last name, and I'm going to use my favorite consumer. Underneath the search button, you're going to see that there is a records table, and it will bring up all of the options available based on your search. You can then select the name. It's hyperlinked to their client information sheet. You'll be able to scroll down past their primary information, their address, and their contact information, and you'll find a series of records tables for all of the activities that you can associate with a consumer. So you'll see device loan, device demonstration, device reutilization, state financing, training, information and assistance, and technical assistance, along with custom activities. The only activity that you're not going to see there is public awareness, and that's because we don't tease out individual consumers for public awareness events. So for the purposes of today's training, you're going to go to the device loans banner, and underneath the records table, you can click on the hyperlinked option, Add Device Loan. From there, you'll have the loan date auto-filled with today's date, and you can see that the end date is going to be set automatically when all items are checked in. It automatically populates your name, which is why it's very important that you use your own unique login for this, for entering any new activities. That way we can verify that it was you that entered it. You're going to select the purpose of the loan. Now, what's going to change with the purpose of the loan is if you select assisted decision-making, device trial or evaluation, the first option, you're going to see that the performance measures, if you scroll down to performance measure decision and satisfaction information, they're going to read primary area of AT use, AT performance decision, and satisfaction. Those are AT access performance measure questions. If you were to choose any of the other options, serve as a loaner during device repair or while waiting for funding, provide an accommodation on a short-term basis, conduct training, self-education, or other professional development activity, it's going to update your page. And the only thing that's going to change is now the performance measures are going to be measures of acquisition activities. So primary area of AT use, reason for using AT programming in contrast, and satisfaction. That's why it's very important that you accurately report what the purpose of the device loan is. The loan duration is going to be auto-filled. The due date will also be auto-filled. The AT recipient category is going to provide a drop-down menu for you to select how that individual identifies as an individual with a disability, family guardian or authorized rep, reps of education, and so on. So I'm going to go ahead and select individual with a disability for AHAB. And you'll see that since you started with your consumer and you're associating a device loan activity to the consumer, it already populated them into the field for the clients related to device loan. So that's one step you don't have to worry about. If you need to add additional clients, you can go to the Add Clients button that's located just underneath the banner. And there will be search parameters where you can search by, just like last time, last name, first name, full name, a whole host of identifying factors. Type in your search, hit search, and the option will pop up. And you can click on their hyperlinked name to add them to the activity. Hit close, and you're ready to go. From here, you'll continue to scroll down and you'll see the banner titled Inventory Devices Loaned. Underneath that banner, you'll see a hyperlink that says Add Inventory. Select the hyperlink, and a window is going to pop up over your screen. It's going to say Search and Add Inventory to Device Loan, and you can again select your search parameters. So I'd like to search by inventory name. That's easiest for me. If I have a consumer that's coming in, they're not going to know the inventory number or the manufacturer model. They're going to be telling me, I need to borrow a ramp. So I'm going to type in ramp. Underneath that inventory names area, you can see that there's also another option for you to search by that says view inventory from other regions. If you look for something in your inventory and it doesn't pop up, but this is a need that you want to be able to fulfill for your consumer, you can select this box and it will search in other regions for those items. And then you can reach out and coordinate with other centers to see if they might be able to loan the item to the consumer for you. So hit search. And I'm going to go ahead and go with the portable folding wheelchair ramp because Ahab is a pretty active guy. When you collect it, it's going to say success, portable folding wheelchair ramp, 8 feet has been added. So you can scroll down to the bottom of that window, hit the close button in the bottom left-hand corner. And when you scroll down your screen and see the inventory devices loaned, you'll see that the item has been added to your activity. Underneath that field, you'll see under the records table that it'll say check in all items. This is not something you need to worry about now. You're still in the process of checking it out. So go ahead and ignore that for now. There's going to be a banner that says additional other devices loaned. This field can be confusing for some people because they see that they can add additional inventory items up here. So why does this area exist? The reason that this field exists is because there are times where you have a device that you check out in the inventory devices loan section, like a tablet. You're checking out that tablet to the consumer, maybe because they want to try out Proloquo 2. So here you're going to add in device category. You're going to add in speech and communication in that instance. You're going to add the number of devices. It's that one program. And under the description, you can type in Proloquo 2. So this area is for items that are not tangible devices that you're handing out. They are specific devices that are integral to the needs of serving the person with a disability. But they aren't a tangible item that you're actually inventorying and handing out to them. It's an app on a computer. And so you can add that to it, and that way you can more fully understand why they're borrowing this item and what their needs are. Under the performance measures, you're not going to be able to save this device loan activity without selecting some options. Sometimes you have the consumer with you while you're processing this device loan, and you can ask them, is it for education, employment, or community living? Is the performance decision that the AT will meet the needs, not meet the needs, no decision made, non-respondent? Satisfaction, and please keep in mind, satisfaction measures are measuring how satisfied they are with your device loan activity, not the device. If the device didn't meet their needs, but they were happy with the process and that you worked with them to try and find out if it was going to meet their needs, then they would select highly satisfied. The measure is of the activity, not the device. So my advice in these situations would be to select non-respondent if you aren't able to get this information from the consumer at the time of checking it out. And you're going to update it when you get your survey back with all of the performance measures indicated. You can provide an anecdote. If you scroll down, there's an anecdote banner with a text box that can accommodate up to 10,000 character count. You can put in information about the activity, their needs. You can put in the individuals that are associated with the activity, the individual with a disability, anybody who's assisting them, their relation to the activity. If you want to put that you are going to be referring them to a specific vendor for a need, you can put the person's name and their association. You can put what the person is in there for, what devices they're interested in, and just be as descriptive and provide a narrative. I have all the parameters lined out in the guide, so you can take a look at that. Underneath that, you're going to see that there is an anecdote image banner, and underneath that banner, you can see that you can add an image for the anecdotal story. This is really great if you had a particularly good interaction with this individual and you're wanting to send in a success story. You can provide the success story in the anecdote area and then hit the select button for the anecdote image and apply an image from your computer onto the NATADS site. And you can also provide an alt text to your images. Once you've gotten all of that taken care of, you're going to go to the bottom left-hand corner and select the Save button. And it's been saved. It will then move you to the device loan view page where you can perform a variety of functions. You can modify. So this will be useful if you have somebody who checks something out for 30 days and they called and said, I need it for another 20 days. Would that be all right? If you determine that you can extend their loan, you can select modify, extend the loan duration so that it isn't overdue in your loan inventory. You could also select the button check in loan, which we'll be going over in just a moment. You can select the delete button. This is definitely something that you do not want to do lightly. In fact, this is generally something that's only performed by CFILC Ability Tools Hub staff. You can print packing slip. You can print the survey. You can go back to the list of device loans, or you can go back to the client that's associated with the loan. So what we're going to go over first is printing out the packing slip and printing the survey. So you've already processed their loan and you're going to be handing off or mailing the device to the consumer. You're going to always want to print the packing slip and print the survey. The packing slip is important because in the packing slip, it's included the device loan agreement. So when you select print packing slip, a window is going to pop up over your screen and you'll see that you have all of the information related to the loan, but there's also a whole area underneath with a device loan agreement that has an area where you can sign and date for your consumer to be able to check out the loan. You can either download it onto your computer or you can print out the agreement. And once you've selected how you want to retain this agreement, you can hit the X and move back to, I'm sorry, it's giving me trouble. And move back to your screen, your device loan view screen. Once you've done that, you can go to the print survey button and it'll have the similar options where you can download the survey, you can print out the survey, or you can exit the window, and that's in the upper left-hand corner of the window that popped up over your screen. Has all of the same information related to the device, and it has the access performance measure questions and the satisfaction ratings. This is how you're going to gather your performance measure information if you weren't able to obtain it when you were first opening up the loan for your consumer. They can send this back to you and you can gather it that way. Select the X button to leave that window. And that is enough to get you through the process of sending out the device loan. Now, the other end of it is, it's been a month, the item comes back to you. Now, how do you go to check in the loan? I'm going to go ahead and start from here. But what you would typically do is, sign in, go ahead. Here, we're going to go ahead and start from the beginning. Sign in, go to your day-to-day, and then I would do a search by client personally, because rather than having to type in a code for your specific item, you have this item that came back from a consumer that you know their name. So you're going to go to View Clients, search for them by name, select the consumer, and then you can scroll down and you'll see that the device loan is still active inside the records table under device loan activities. So from here, you can select the device loan, and it takes you to that device loan view page where you were able to print your packing slip, print your survey, modify the loan, or check in the loan. And so we're going to go ahead and select the check in loan button that's located just underneath the device loan view banner. It's going to allow you to enter the check-in date. It autofills the name of the person who's checking it in. The purpose of the loan is static. You can't change that. And the AT recipient category can't be changed. You're going to select what's being checked in either by selecting the checkbox next to the item, or if there were multiple items and everything's being checked in, you can select all items. Or if they're only returning one of two, perhaps, you can select that and check that item in and still keep this loan activity open for the other item. So we're going to go ahead and say that he is checking in his ramp. Let's say that this is going to get turned in tomorrow because he really needed it on a very short-term basis. And the underneath the performance measure and decision satisfaction information, you can see that you are still able to modify the performance measures. So let's say you got the item back and they kept the survey, filled it out, sent it back with the item. The only thing you can't change is the primary area of AT use. And that's because you're assisting this person in figuring out what device they need to borrow, so you're going to know what they're using it for. And so you don't really need a survey to figure that part out. You're going to have already established that upon the device loan process. So you can look at your survey and see that they decided, yep, this ramp is going to meet my needs and I'm highly satisfied. And so it's already built in that when you check in the loan that you have right in front of you the performance measures to be able to be updated and accurately reported. You can add any story that you didn't put in before. If when they returned the item, they sent you a letter or they called you and let you know what's going on, you can add to that story to more fully flesh out the device loan activity. And from there, you can select the check-in button on the bottom left-hand corner. And your loan has been completed. This is a full overview of the activity device loan. Again, we could go over the main inventory entry, but we do already have something on record for that because you're going to obviously need an inventory to pull your device out of. If there's a need, if the fact that it was very specific to how you enter a Chromebook or how you enter a Yeti, if that is a problem for people, then I would be happy to further on after we get done with all of these AT Act activity webinars, put together a webinar specifically for entering items into the device inventory. So let's go ahead and open it up to Q&A and discussion. Does anyone have any questions, clarifications, concerns? Anyone, would you like to share how you perform device loan activities? Any techniques for obtaining these performance measures or ensuring the return of the devices?
And this is Megan. Feel free to either raise your hand or send us questions in the Q&A. And we do have a question that says, if a consumer borrows 2 items at once, is that one loan or is that 2 loans?
And so that actually comes up quite a bit. In the instance of a consumer borrowing, let's say they have not decided if this rollator or a walker is what they want. So they borrow both of them to be able to try them out and compare them for their need to be able to have better access to mobility. That's going to count as one device loan, because it's like I always say, you need to look at the goal of the activity to be able to determine how to accurately report it. So they are trying to solve one challenge that they're facing, and you're going to be recording the performance measure for that challenge. And so those two devices being checked out, they are trying to meet just one need. So the loan activity only counts for one.
Great, thank you. So we have a question here that says, should we be using the forms provided on NATADS for device loan agreements?
If I can get some clarification, it would be helpful. The loans that are provided on NATADS specifically are the ones that are included in the packing slip and in the survey. Yes, those are the ones that you should be using. If you are obtaining documents, I know that some people have been using documents that are from the AT exchange, and sometimes that can get conflated. That's not a good idea. I would definitely use it's very simple. Just go ahead and select the packing slip, print that out, and print out the survey, and those are the forms that you need.
This is Megan. If that did not answer your question, please let us know. Oh, perfect. It answered your question. That's awesome.
Great.
We have a follow-up here that says, what if the consumer requests the two items that serve different functions, like a tablet and a reacher? Would that be two loans?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it has to do with whether or not these items are serving the same purpose. So if you had, like we were talking about earlier, someone deciding between a rollator and a walker for that one specific need, that's going to be one loan. But in the example you gave with a tablet and what was the other item, a reacher? Those are two very different purposes. Those are two very different needs. And so you would record them separately. I would go ahead and do two separate loans, and you would record those performance measures separately also. So yes, two items serving two different needs would count as two loans.
Perfect. I hope that clarification helps for folks. So we have a question here from Sergio at Cal Life that says, what happens if a consumer does not return the device?
And see, that has a lot to do with the protocols for each individual center. A good way to approach it is if they haven't returned the device, you need to make sure to try and make as much contact as possible to reach out to this consumer, see if they need an extension on the loan, if there are any other extenuating circumstances going on. You should have, because nobody can create a NATADS account without entering a phone number, an address, and an email. So you should have a couple points of communication. If you are unsuccessful in reaching out to the consumer that way, then again, that's going to be up to your center. If it's something like a reacher that maybe isn't terribly expensive and the center is okay with just kind of letting that go, then it would be up to the center whether they would just close that out as, we're not getting that back, we're just going to accept that loss. If it's something more expensive that is a less acceptable loss, something like hand controls for a vehicle, those are really expensive, then you would probably want to file a police report. You have all of the information on hand, and you can use the resources from the police to try and get the item back. I know that for a lot of centers, that can be a difficult thing. Some centers are like we have something between 5 to 6, depending on where you put the boundaries, centers that are located in the state of California and the Los Angeles region, versus a center like Fresno, who is one center, and they're covering a very large physical space. And so actually physically getting items back and involving police is a bit more complicated. So again, it's really up to the center. One really good method for ensuring the return of devices, if you're talking about a tablet or a computer, is to get a mobile device management system, an MDM. These systems are things that you install on all of your devices, and they work to provide a GPS location. You have at your central hub, you can see where all of the items are located in real time, kind of like if anybody has used the Life 360 app, where you can track and see where members of your group are located based on the location of their phone. Also, it's pretty great because it makes it so that you can remotely lock down the device. So if you have someone who is keeping the device and it's for more nefarious reasons, less forgetful, less of an issue of people just not being able to get in touch with you, you can lock down the device and essentially make it useless to the person, and they'll be more likely to get it back to you, or, you know, at least it's not still just out there and being taken advantage of. You can use that device location to be able to provide that information to the police, and they can go and retrieve it for you more accurately, more appropriately. And in less of a sort of doom and gloom element of it, they're really great for having it so that if you get a new app, let's say there's a new version, a new app that comes out that you want to try out of AAC equipment, that you don't want to have every single person that has a tablet out currently come in so that you can put that app on that device. You can use a push notification to push the app out onto the device, and you can alert the person that they now have a new device available, a new app available on their device that's at their disposal. So you don't have to have that back and forth going on, which is particularly useful during COVID, where you want to bring down those points of contacts as much as possible.
Thank you, Catherine. And kind of piggybacking off that question, if a device ends up not being recoverable and the center does not get it back from the consumer, how do they remove that device from NATADS? What's the proper process?
Well, again, it's going to depend on your status as a center. So if you're using the NATADS system to track your device loans, but you're not a device lending and demonstration center, then that is going to be up to you how you manage your inventory. It's going to be up to your director. If you are a device lending and demonstration center, we have protocols in place for that program. If you have a device, go out, you can't get it back, you've tried, it's just gone. You're going to fill out an item removal transfer form. I'm actually in the middle of updating all of the device lending and demonstration center forms. I'm going to put them all in one workbook so that you have basically kind of like a virtual packet of all of the documents that you'll ever need, along with an updated policies and procedures manual that I'm currently in the throes of. That's a long manual, guys. And so you'll have that form where you can go in, you can put in the NATADS inventory ID, you put in what the device is, you select what happened to it, whether it was lost, stolen, broken, and you're going to put in any other necessary information like a serial number, and you're going to send that on to me at Catherine@CFILC.org. That's KATHRINE@CFILC.org. And I will go ahead and look over the device and we'll validate it and everything, and I will be the person to take it off of NATADS for you.
Great, thanks, Catherine. And I know most folks on this call are connected to us already, but I went ahead and threw Catherine's email in the chat as well. If anyone has questions, please feel free to either raise your hand on here on Zoom and we can allow you to talk, or to send them to us in the Q&A.
And I would love to be able to hear if anybody has any advice, anything that they do to be able to more readily obtain performance measures, to ensure the return of your devices, and to have an open discussion about the challenges COVID has brought about and the adaptations that we've utilized. And I would also advise that we continue the discussion on our listservs. They're a really great resource to just go ahead and throw a question out to your community of coworkers and really be able to get a good discussion going and learn from each other. All right, well, Megan, if you see any other questions pop up, then I'd be happy to go ahead and address them. If not, we can probably finish up for the day.